Hello students, welcome back to the economics class of plus 2 standard. As we have already started lesson number 15, fiscal policy. In this chapter you have learned about the fiscal policy and taxation policy and different types of taxes. Today we will discuss public expenditure and public debt. Federal form of the government. Our constitution provides the three tiers of the government. Central government that governs the complete union. State government that is responsible for governance at the respective state levels. Local government like municipal corporations, municipal boards, municipal councils, cantonment boards, etc. Each tier of the government has its exclusive areas of responsibilities. To match the responsibilities, each government has also been assigned exclusive sources of revenue. Public expenditure means to give shape to different objectives of the budgetary policy like rapid economic growth, balanced regional growth, economic stability, social justice, full employment, poverty removal, etc. So, public expenditure refers to the expenses of the public authorities either in protecting the citizens or in promoting their economic and social welfare. Public expenditure refers to the expenses of the public authorities like central government, state government and local government, either in protecting the citizens or in promoting their economic and social welfare. In developing economies, public expenditure helps in reducing regional disparities, developing social overheads, creation of infrastructure, education, development, etc. Also helpful in maintaining the satisfactory rate of economic growth. Public expenditure includes the expenditure incurred by a government under the following heads: defense expenditure, civil expenditure, economic expenditure and social expenditure. First one is defense expenditure. Defense expenditure includes expenses on the equipment, payments as wages for army personnel, etc. Defense expenditure corresponds to the first duty of the sovereign, with defending the society from the violence of the other independent societies. Civil expenditure. Civil expenditure is incurred for the maintenance of law and justice, like securities, internal justice between citizens. Economic expenditure. Economic expenditure includes provision of direct services to the private enterprises in the form of subsidies and provision of benefits through its own industries. Social expenditure. Social expenditure includes expenditure on education, public health, social insurance schemes, railways, public parks, street lights, etc. Public expenditure can be classified such as current expenditure and capital expenditure, development expenditure and non-development expenditure, plan and non-planned expenditure. There has been a persistent and continuous increase in public expenditure in countries all over the world. Extension in the government activities has led to increase in public expenditure. Total government expenditure, it is given here like healthcare, expenditure for social welfare, expenditure for infrastructure, expenditure for education, expenditure for environment and food, expenditure for economic and other including security and other sports services, etc. Current or revenue expenditure, like LPG cylinders are made available to domestic consumers at a price which is less than the per unit cost of production of a cylinder. The difference is borne by the government and is known as subsidy. The expenditure on subsidies is a part of the government expenditure. It does not lead to creation of any asset. It does not directly create any capital asset for the economy. It does not cause any reduction in the liability of the government. So, revenue expenditure of a government is in the form of consumption expenditure. Characteristics of revenue expenditure. The characteristics of revenue expenditure is that it does not cause any reduction in the liability of the government. Expenditure incurred on the defense forces of the country does not cause any reduction in the liability of the government. The major items on which the government incurs revenue expenditure, these includes subsidy, interest on government loan, public administration, defense and other economic and social services. Capital expenditure. Capital expenditure is in the form of investment expenditure. It results in creation of assets in the economy. For example, construction of roads, dams, bridges, flyovers, hospitals, schools, canals, multi-purpose irrigation projects, expenditure incurred on the acquisition of assets like land, buildings, machinery, equipment, investment in shares, loans and advances guaranteed by the central or the union government to states and union territories, government, companies, corporations, etc. These accounts on capital account is met out of the capital receipts, which include market borrowings, external loans, small savings, government provident funds, accretion to various deposit accounts, reserve funds of departments like the railways, post and telecommunication and other capital receipts. This expenditure creates more assets. The characteristics of capital expenditure is that it causes a reduction in the liabilities of the government. If government incurs expenditure towards repayment of loans, its liabilities get reduced. Plan expenditure and non-plan expenditure. Plan expenditure, the expenditure incurred on those programs and schemes which form a part of the 5-year plan. Plans provide for creation of some assets. For example, canals, irrigation projects. Some expenditure will be incurred on the construction of canals during a plan period. Such expenditure is known as plan expenditure. Expenditure incurred on the maintenance of canals constitute non-plan expenditure. In the same way, maintenance of roads, cleanliness of the canals, all these are the non-plan expenditures. Non-plan expenditure, maintenance of bridges, roads, canals, commercial buildings, etc. falls under non-plan expenditure. So, non-plan expenditure is the expenditure incurred on those programs and schemes which fall outside the purview of a 5-year plan. Plan expenditure may be on revenue account. It can also be on capital account. Similarly, for non-plan expenditure may be on revenue account. It can also be on capital account. Development expenditure. Development expenditure relates to the growth and development activities of the government. It includes expenditure incurred under such heads as social and community services and economic services. Developmental schemes are included in both revenue and capital budgets. Non-developmental expenditure. Non-developmental expenditure relates to non-developmental activities of the government. It incurred under such heads as defense, interest payments, subsidies, public administration, etc. Transfer expenditure. These expenditure is not related to the production of goods and services or generation of the income in the economy. This type of expenditure tends to change the distribution of income in the society. For example, scholarships to the students, old age pension, and unemployment allowances are the examples of transfer expenditures. Non-transfer or the real expenditure. Expenditure on the purchase of ornaments and armaments also, education, post and telegraph, agriculture development, railways, industries, etc. are the examples of non-transfer or the real expenditure. It results in the change of goods and services for money. This induces mainly the payments made by the government on the use of factor services in the form of rent, wages, interest and profit for productive activities. Public administration and services. The government is responsible for provision of various social, economic and administrative services in the economy. To run these services, a comprehensive government machinery has been built up at all levels. Huge sum of money is required to be spent on the maintenance on and running of this machinery. Machinery like road rollers are there, combines are there. Types of public expenditure. There are different types of public expenditure like productive expenditure, unproductive expenditure, transfer expenditure and non-transfer expenditure. Under the productive expenditure, that is expenditure on parks, waterworks, education, training, health, better living conditions, better labor relations, expenditure on research, roads, railways, canals, energy, generations, programs, etc. And unproductive expenditures on administration, defense, justice, law and order, maintenance of the state. And transfer expenditures covered interest payments, old age pension, unemployment benefits, etc. And under the non-transfer expenditure, the expenditures like education and defense, it falls. The major reasons for the rapid rise in government expenditure, first one is increase in area and population. Population has considerably increased. Governments have to cater to the needs of many more persons scattered over a much wider area. The government business obeys the law of diminishing returns or increasing cost per person served. The larger the number of persons served, the greater is the cost per capita. Increasing public sector investment. Huge investment by the government for economic development in the country, like provision of hospitals, schools, parks, public libraries, etc. Increase in defense expenditure it is required, increase in interest expenditure, increase subsidy expenditure on various items like food, LPG, kerosene, petroleum, administration expenditures, provision of employment and undertaking relief works, rural development schemes to remove poverty like IRDP, Indian Rural Development Programs. Next one is NREP, National Rural Employment Programs. JRY, that is Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Higher price level. Prices of goods and services have been regularly going up. As a buyer of these goods and services, a government has to spend more money. A government cannot cut back its demand for foods and for goods and services. It has no alternative but to spend money. Increase in national wealth and higher standard of living. There is a continuous improvement in agriculture, trade and service in every country. The per capita income increased and improvement in the standard of living, and also there is increase in the government revenue and government expenditure. Rich people, rich government. War and prevention of war. A major part of the current expenditure is spent on national defense and defense preparedness. The progress of the military arts and sciences has been so rapid that the machines of war have become extremely expensive to purchase and rate of obsolescence extremely high. According to an estimate, the United States of America spends nearly 85% of its income on defense alone, which includes benefit to the retired soldiers, atomic research, foreign aid, and interest on debt incurred during wars. Defective financial and civil administration, duplication and unnecessary multiplication of government agencies is not uncommon. Wrong allocation of resources and functions also lead to extravagance. A tax control over public expenditure swells it to an unnecessarily high figure. Importance of public expenditure in an economy. Public expenditure increases economic growth. It accelerates the process of economic growth. New industries can be set up. Infrastructure like roads, dams, bridges, canals, flyovers, etc. can be constructed. Research and innovations are encouraged. Rate of investment and capital formation is encouraged. It increases economic welfare like expenditure on health and education of the poor section of the society. It corrects depression and checks unemployment. There is a depression in the economy when there is an inadequate aggregate demand for goods and services. This causes unemployment and fall in income. Importance of public expenditure in an economy. A government can create more employment opportunities by increasing its own expenditure. It leads to reduction in inequalities. Public expenditure can be used to reduce inequalities in income distribution, remove regional disparities in growth. Next one is new departments have been set up for smooth functioning of the government administration in India. Gradual expansion of public sectors like railways, posts and telegraphs, and non-departmental enterprises like Steel Authority of India Limited, Coal India Limited, Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, etc. also need huge expenditure. Like HMT also requirement of huge expenditure, Hindustan Machine Tools. Public debt. Government borrows from different sources for different purposes. Borrowing by the government is an ongoing activity. Public debt refers to the stock of loans owed by the government at any point of time to others. Public borrowing may be treated in the same manner as private borrowing, but there are fundamental differences between the two. Borrowing by the government is different than taxation, although both result in the inflow of money to the government treasury. Public debt can assume different forms like voluntary and forced loans, productive and unproductive loans, funded and unfunded loans, annuities, lottery loans, etc. The function of public borrowing is to serve as supplement to other sources of public borrowing. Modern government makes it a point of honor to pay their debts. Debt repayment maintains and strengthens the national credit so that if a national emergency arises later, it will be easy to raise funds. So the Government of India has borrowed heavily to finance its budgetary transactions. It has borrowed both at home and abroad. This has resulted in a huge size of public debt. Government borrows money from different sources to meet their budgetary needs. Government may borrow from sources within the country and abroad. Every loan is contracted for a fixed period of time, like 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years. During this period, the borrower is under a contractual obligation to pay interest on the borrowed capital. On the maturity of the loan period, the borrower is under a contractual obligation to return the principal. A borrower may raise a fresh loan to pay off the earlier loan. So this process may be repeated any number of times. As a result, the debt burden of the borrower goes on increasing. Public debt refers to the debt burden of a government at a point of time. Individual, households or enterprises borrow money to finance their needs. These may be consumption needs or investment needs. These borrowings are called private loans or private debt. Government too borrows to meet their consumption and investment needs. These borrowings are called public loans. The sum total of outstanding private loan at a point of time is known as private debt. The sum total of outstanding public loan at a point of time is known as public debt. Difference between public debt and private debt. First one is public debt. Borrower. In the public debt, state is the borrower, and under the private debt, individual can borrow from an external sources. Second point is power. Public debt has sovereign power, while private debt cannot borrow from private person cannot borrow from himself, or private person cannot issue promissory notes and declare them to be legal tender. Next point of public debt is the state cannot be compelled to repay its debt like an ordinary individual. The private debt have not far-reaching consequences upon production and distribution system of a country. A state can borrow from an external or internal sources by raising a loan from its subject or by printing promissory notes and declare them to be legal tender. Public debts have far-reaching consequences upon production and distribution system of a country. Distinguish between taxation and borrowings. Borrowings, the raising of public debts gives an individual future claim on the government for interest and repayment of the sum borrowed. From the government point of view, there is advantage that if the required funds are to be raised by loans, they would be paid with less ill feeling than if they were paid as taxes. Taxation would not give rise to such claims. Voluntary loans. These are subscribed to by public at large commercial banks and other financial institutions. They may be induced to subscribe to government borrowing program by any number of reasons, such as these loans assure safety. Second point is there may be some tax advantages and rebates in lending to the government. Next point is these loans offer a relatively high rate of interest. For example, Kisan Vikas Patras, National Saving Certificates or National Saving Schemes. Forced loans. Government may take it to obligatory on its citizens to subscribe some minimum specified amount. Second point is under the forced loan, defaulters may be penalized. Next point is being a sovereign power, a government can always issue such an order. For example, compulsory deposit schemes like Provident Fund, ESI like Employees State Insurance, and different kind of taxes. Distinction between productive debt and deadweight debt or unproductive debt. Productive debt. This debt is utilized for the productive purposes like construction of highways, thermal power plants and irrigation canals, etc. by the government. While the deadweight debt or the unproductive debt is utilized for purchasing heavy armaments, financing wars, providing relief to flood victims, etc. Under the productive debt, it is a debt which is fully covered by the possession of assets of equal value. Under the deadweight debt or unproductive debt is that debt for which there are no assets in the hands of public authorities. Next one is distinction between passive and active debt. Passive debt. These are those loans which have been spent for the purpose that do not yield any money income or increase the productivity of the country, but these give only utility and enjoyment like public buildings, parks, public libraries, street lights, etc. Active debt. These have been invested in such a way that they yield a money income or increase the productive power of a country like purchase of machinery, set up small scale industries or heavy industries. Distinction between funded and unfunded debt. Funded debt. The government establishes a separate fund for the repayment of its debt obligations. Under the unfunded debt, the government does not establishes a separate fund for the repayment of its debt obligations. Under the funded debt, these are those loans, the principal of which the government is not under any obligation to pay at any time. On these, the government undertakes to pay interest only. In other words, these are permanent loans. Under the unfunded debt, these are also called floating debts. These are the debts whose principal will be repaid on some fixed date. Redeemable debt and irredeemable debt. Distinction between these is, under the redeemable debt, the government pays off the debt along with interest accrued thereon after a specified period. That debt is considered as redeemable debt. Under the irredeemable debt, if the government does not repay the original debt amount and goes on paying only the interest amount perpetually, then that debt is considered as irredeemable debt. Distinction between internal and external debt. When government takes loan from the citizens of the concerned country, citizens or domestic firms or financial institutions, etc., these refer to the stock of liabilities incurred by a government towards its citizens. This is known as internal debt. Under the external debt, refers to the stock of the loans raised by the government from outside the country, like from foreign government, foreign banks, foreign citizens, World Bank or International Monetary Fund, etc. Under the internal debt, in this the payment of interest and principal means only a redistribution of the national income. The expenditure on this account is simply a transfer expenditure. Under the external debt, the payment of interest means the transfer of wealth to the foreigners. Distinction between short term and long term debt. Short term debt. When the government take loan for 2 months or 6 months or 1 year, etc., that is known as short term debt. Under the long term debt, when the government take loan for 5 years or 10 years, that is known as long term debt. Need for public debt. Modern government do not have any large accumulated balance to meet a budget deficit. So the government may get faced with any of the following situations under which it needs for public debt. First one is the yield from taxation and other sources may not be equal to the actual expenditure. There may be unplanned or unexpected emergency situations like COVID-19, major fires, floods and famines, etc. It may not be possible to mobilize funds through taxation to meet these situations. Government may resort to borrowing. A factor which necessitates public loans is war. Modern warfare is so costly that the normal income through taxation falls short of the actual war expenditure. A public loan is better and easier method of collecting revenue than taxation. Loans enable the government to make use of idle and unutilized funds of the public. In this way, the government can create demand for goods and services. Public loans are used for development purposes. These loans are used for infrastructure and capital projects also. Reasons for internal debt. Covering the gap between expenditure and tax revenue. Second point is controlling inflation, controlling recession, development financing, social development, war finance, financing other emergencies, financing of physical infrastructure like building of roads, dams, bridges, flyovers, etc., covering the losses of the public sector. So these are the reasons for internal debt. Reasons for external debt: solving balance of payment problem, solving the structural imbalance in the economy, environmental protection and sustainable development. So these are the reasons for the external debt. Meaning of redemption. The process of repaying a public debt is called its redemption. While borrowing from the public, the government sells securities to the public. At the time of maturity, the person who holds the security surrenders it to the government. The principal amount is paid by the government to the person in the form of checks. It is the banks and other financial institutions that are the largest holders of government securities. Methods of redemption of public debt. First is sinking fund approach. It means that it can be used to absorb a major part of the debt obligation at the time of debt redemption. Conversion approach. If there is a fall in the rate of interest, the government may convert the bonds carrying higher interest rates into low rated bonds depending upon the terms and conditions of the government bonds. The government can repurchase the high rated bonds before the redemption period and give an option to the bondholder to buy the low rated bonds issued by the government. In this way, the government can reduce its financial burden. Next one is terminable annuities. Annuities means yearly. Government may also pay the bondholders a certain fixed amount for a number of years to meet its debt obligations. These annual payments are called annuities. Next method of redemption of public debt is purchase of government bonds in security market. Government may also purchase its own stock in the security market. In this way, it can reduce its debt obligations to that extent. This can be done with the revenue surplus in the government budget. Repudiation of budget. When government refuses to meet its debt obligations, that is known as repudiation of debt. Budgetary surplus. Budgetary surplus is also used to meet its debt obligations. Next one is capital levy. When the government imposes a levy on the capital assets like machinery owned by any individual or any institutions, it is called capital levy. Next one is export surplus. Export surplus means inflow of foreign exchange into the exchequer of the government and can be used for external debt obligations. Hope students you have understood the topic public expenditure and public debt. Now it's time to note down the homework. First question is define the following terms with examples: public expenditure, public revenue, public debt, unproductive debt. Second question is differentiate between funded and unfunded debt, productive and unproductive debt, Question number 3 is explain how public expenditure can promote the growth process in an economy. Fourth question is explain reasons for borrowing by the government. And students, please go through the YouTube links also for more clarity and complete your notes in your fair copy for better learning. Thank you for listening, students.